Welcome to Homekeepers. Hope you could sit down and have a cup of tea with us today. We are really going to give you some great information. It's no secret that America's got a lot of health problems. I've heard that we are the most obese and the most drugged up nation in the world, which is kind of sad, realizing our resources. But I have a gentleman here today that I've been aware of for far more than 10 years, and it's a delight to meet him. And that's Dr. Barry Sears. And he is the founder, inventor, author of the ZoneDiet. And the more I find out about this, the more interesting it is. So all of you, be sure to stay tuned. You new people, we are so glad to have any new viewer out there. You are so welcome. Please don't let this be your last time. But we are going to talk to Dr. Sears about this phenomenal kind of a revolution he started way more than 10 years ago. In fact, I did buy the first book probably about in 1998 or something like that, and other books have followed. This one is about toxic fat, and same author as The Zone, but also he has, I try to remember, I wrote it down, how many books he has written. Kind of one builds upon the other. In a future program we will be talking about inflammation, and you who watch us all the time, you know about Deborah Ray. We're always talking about the perils of inflammation. Well, he will be shedding some light on that. So I'm going to join him in the kitchen, where we are going to give you a display of the amazing food you can eat and still lose weight, and more importantly, be much healthier. The things that will be revealed about this food, I think you'll find astounding. So we're going to offer this book for a Homekeepers offer. If you want to use your credit card, call 1-800-229-0059 or write to us at Post Office Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida, 33758, and you will get this very instructive book about toxic fat. I think it's interesting that our First Lady even is wanting to especially help our young people stay away from being obese and help those who are. Anyway, I've joined I've joined Dr. Sears over here in the kitchen.
A pleasure.
I am so glad to have you here, and we've had very few men here, so you're very special. But when did you write the first Zone book?
The first Zone book was written in 1995, some 16 years ago.
And I was intrigued because all these women with beautiful bodies were using it, movie stars and so forth, but also, and we'll talk about that more a little bit later, the football players, NFL.
Right.
They're into this too.
Well, because again, the whole goal of the Zone book was written not to basically talk about how to lose weight, but how to control inflammation in your body. It's inflammation that makes us fat and keeps us fat. It's inflammation that accelerates chronic disease. It's inflammation that causes Alzheimer's. So if you can basically find out how to control this inflammation, not using a drug, but using food, you had really the key to the future of a longer and better life.
This is totally amazing, because if you're going to find out all this stuff you love to eat is not loaded with bad carbs, it's actually, even the bagel is made of protein.
Well, when we first started out with the Zone diet, I said, here's a good rule of thumb. Never eat pasta. Never eat bread. Never eat pasta, or basically pizza. And people say, no, I'd rather get fat, sick, and dumb. I said, okay. So for 15 years, I said, things say, here's what I want to eat. I want to eat lots of colorful carbohydrates like fruits and vegetables, a small amount of protein, no bigger than the palm of your hand, and cut back on the white carbohydrates. Well, that would go into one ear and right out the other. So I said, this will get me nowhere. So rather than telling people what they should eat, I said, perhaps it's more productive to ask what they like to eat. And for most Americans, those are the 3 Ps: pizza, pasta, pastry. So 5 years ago, I saw a new R&D project to say, can we take the foods that people like to eat and restructure them so they look like the pizza and pasta, they taste like it, but they give a different hormonal response and shut down hunger, just like a gastric bypass surgery. And if that was possible, then you wouldn't ask people to change their diets, because they won't. but you now simply change the food ingredients in their diets and basically rebalance their hormones, allow them to live that longer and better life they want to.
I think you were one of the first ones to start talking about that hormone and the spike in the insulin
Yes.
and that kind of thing. Right now I want to show you, now this is one week's
Yes.
supply, and you can order it, I suppose, online, or you get on the program.
Yes.
And then there's all kinds of resources available on the website, and also this will come with it. Losing weight easies 1, 2, 3, and recipes that are healthy. You know, the thing that really leaves me a little bit speechless is that this and this bagel and this pasta are protein.
Exactly. The key thing,
miracle.
let's take this as this sandwich roll. This contains as much protein as a 4-egg white omelet. And more importantly, it has the same impact on your blood sugar as eating a strawberry.
Whoa.
And so all of a sudden say, well,
What can you say?
And you say, I could do this. That's the key phrase. When people come to talk about diets, it's not that you're looking to lose weight. That's easy. It's keeping the weight off. So you say, whatever I do to lose the weight, I have to follow for the rest of my life to keep the weight off. Now, most people say, okay, that means if I have to eat bagels, pizza, and pasta the rest of my life, I can do that. And then once they say that, say, we've solved the compliance problem.
I did mention that he's a scientist, which kind of gives you a little credibility.
Well,
on this thing.
it does, but yet at the same time, we say this is all basically understanding of new breakthroughs in molecular biology, how food affects our genes, and that's a very powerful statement.
And when we sit down to talk, we want to talk about why you did this. But I want to get a close-up on some of this food. This is a tuna.
A tuna
on pasta.
On pasta, but now on zone pasta. Do not do this with regular pasta by any stretch. And you've add some asparagus to the side.
And that's a acceptable portion, right?
That's a wonderful, because if you eat that size portion, you will not be hungry for the next 6 hours.
Okay, and here's another lunch. This is pasta and orzo.
It looks like rice,
Yeah.
but it's orzo. And again, what you see is colorful carbohydrates. But again, that contains the same amount of protein.
Okay,
as a
now that looks
4-egg
like
white.
it's got some kind of a dressing. Would it have olive oil in it,
Yes,
or you wash
yes.
the oils too?
Yes, very much so.
And maybe we can talk about that. This is the amazing thing, and I've tasted these. They're very, very good. This is a chocolate chip cookie, and this is M&Ms, and then what other kind do we have here?
We've got
Like
some peanut
oatmeal?
butter
Oh,
and
peanut butter.
a wide variety. But the key thing, 2 of those cookies, again, has the same amount of protein as a 4-egg white omelet.
Protein.
So you say, some people are saying, especially males, say, I got it. If I eat nothing but cookies, I would lose weight. I'm saying, yes, that's the wonderful part about it.
There is a God.
Yes.
Okay, and now here we have sandwiches. That looks like a regular sandwich. You've got the avocado. You've got look like some kind of a sliced ham on. I call them a bagel. You call them a sandwich roll.
Well, this is 2 pieces of zone bread, because now the bread is doing all the heavy lifting. What you put between the bread is almost inconsequential. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I just put something there, but I could have 2 pieces of bread, and this would be a complete meal.
And here we go with looks like a bit of a yogurt parfait or something.
Everybody knows that yogurt's good for you, except it doesn't taste very good. So what do food manufacturers do? They shovel more sugar into it until it tastes fine.
Right.
So what we've done here is take natural yogurt and basically added now our granola that basically which has all the protein, and throw in some
good, too. I've had
blueberries
it.
and say, I could put this together. This is a complete breakfast that you can put together far faster than brewing a cup of coffee.
And here's the pizza crust, which that's protein, right?
Exactly.
Boy, that ought to make you smile. Oh, here's a pretzel.
Right. And so what we've done, we've taken a technology that allows us to make a wide variety of food products that people like to eat.
If you just tuned in, this is Dr. Barry Sears, who is the, what would you call yourself? Founder, inventor, author, originator of the Zone? Is there
I'd
word?
say probably creator of the Zone.
Creator, okay. Of the Zone. Probably you've seen these books in every kind of bookstore and in Sam's and places like that. And beginning in 1995, he wrote one which so many people that you probably know about zoomed in on it and found it very, very helpful. And so you've been leading us down the path ever since to better and healthier ideas, because one thing does build upon another.
Exactly. It's all about hormonal control. Women understand the power of hormones to a far greater extent than men do.
Right.
If you can control your hormones, you control your life. What is that most powerful thing to control your hormones? The food we eat. But the door can swing both ways. They can keep your hormones in a zone where life is good, or they can drive them out of the zone where life is a lot more difficult than it has to be.
Now, you look at food as a drug, right?
Yes. And that's derogatory to food, because food is more powerful than drugs, because food affects hormones, and hormones are hundreds of times more powerful than any drug.
Amazing story. Okay, we've got a couple more things. This will be like a good breakfast.
A great breakfast. Here we have, again, a bagel.
Is that like regular cream cheese?
Regular cream cheese and the strawberries here. But again, the bagel's doing all the heavy lifting.
The bagel is the protein.
Yeah.
Now this one...
Well, this one is basically vegetables. It's saying,
right.
The one thing you like to do, we're trying to make life simple for people. Saying, don't worry about buying the chicken, the beef, the fish. The protein's in the bread. So that's taken care of. Just try to eat as many vegetables as you possibly can every day.
No problem for me. I love those.
Just like Grandma told you.
Exactly. Boy, weren't those old soldiers right?
Well, because they were the repository of thousands of years of what really makes us healthy.
And I do not remember obesity growing up.
No.
Not like I see today. I don't remember.
And again, this is the thing that will now threaten our country, both healthcare-wise and economically. It will basically drive us into a fiscal abyss unless we reverse it. That's why I developed all these foods for really treating diabetes. These are all ideally suited, and we did our initial testing on diabetics.
Okay, I want to put that graphic up again because we're offering you this book on toxic fat. And if you'll look at that 800 number, 1-800-229-0059, that's for the credit cards. And if you don't like to use a credit card, and there are folks who do not, write to us at Post Office Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida, 33758. Dr. Sears and I have moved over to our little parlor set, and I mentioned that I would like for him to tell you exactly why he got into this whole idea that has grown into a really, really major force in the nation and beyond. So why did you do it?
Well, I personally wanted to live longer.
That's a very good reason.
A good starting point. Not because of weight problems, because in my family, everyone on the male side died prematurely of heart disease in their early 50s. My father died in his early 50s, and he was a world-class athlete. All of his brothers died in their early 50s, as did my grandfather. So I realized some 30 years ago I carried the same genes that would predispose me to an early death from heart disease. I couldn't change those genes, but I somehow could change the expression. So I was at MIT at the time, and I realized that the answer was not a drug, but it's treating food like a drug, being taken at the right dosage at the right time. And that led me down the pathway to understand how food controls our genes, and by doing so, we can retake control of our future.
Well, it's a good thing that you were a scientist, because you might be in a lineup where you're not supposed to live very long, and but you wouldn't be able to address it. Now, let's talk about some of the celebrities, and I'm mainly interested in the football players. You have worked with the NFL and so forth, because I would think that a football player, when they're getting out there, the last thing they'd want to do is be on a diet. I mean, don't they just need a lot of fuel before they get out there?
No, actually on the contrary. One of the biggest problems with professional athletes is getting adequate levels of protein. You can get carbohydrates. I can eat jelly beans all day long, but getting protein is difficult. So one of the reasons we invented these foods was to basically give them the foods they like to eat, which could deliver high levels of protein to maintain.
98 or something like that. And other books have followed. This one is about toxic fat, and same author as The Zone, but also he has, I'm trying to remember, I wrote it down, how many books he has written. Kind of one builds upon the other. In a future program, we will be talking about inflammation, and you who watch us all the time, you know about Deborah Ray. We're always talking about the perils. Great information. It's no secret that America's got a lot of health problems. I've heard that we are the most obese and the most drugged up nation in the world, which is kind of sad, realizing our resources. But I have a gentleman here today that I've been aware of for far more than 10 years, and it's a delight to meet him. And that's Dr. Barry Sears. And he is the founder, inventor, author of the Welcome to Homekeepers. Hope you could sit down and have a cup of tea with us today. We are really going to give you some great zone diet. And the more I find out about this, the more interesting it is. So all of you, be sure to stay tuned. You new people, we are so glad to have any new viewer out there. You are so welcome. Please don't let this be your last time. But we are going to talk to Dr. Sears about this phenomenal kind of a revolution he started way more than 10 years ago. In fact, I did buy the first book probably about 19